down. I'm saying, wherever if you wanna go on now. It's done a little bit for bigger things. And this place keeps killing our dreams. Let's go. I'm saying it's tired of waiting. We can leave this whole place behind. Let's go. I'm saying it's tired of waiting. We can leave this whole place behind.
What's going on, everyone? How's it going? In this video, I'm going to go over some music marketing questions, some Facebook ad questions that I let people submit ahead of time in the Patreon and also submit ahead of time on my YouTube community page. So I have a list of questions, but I do encourage you to drop your questions in the chat below if you're watching this live. I am going to be keeping this video up as a full video, so if you're watching this later and you see me referencing the live chat, just keep that in mind. Hey Nandan, how's it going? Feel free to drop your question in the chat as well. So first of all, I'm going to keep this video pretty casual. I'm going to dive into the Patreon questions. So if I switch to the Patreon, by the way, if you want to join the Patreon, there will be a link in the description. Hopefully it's there now, but if not, it'll be there for the final video upload. So first question we had was from JC Flores. Would you mind providing some insight regarding Facebook's new music policy and what does this mean to us running ads through Facebook? And if you aren't familiar with this, basically the new Facebook policy has a lot of language basically saying like you can't be like they don't want the primary goal of your presence on Facebook to be artists talking to their fans, and they kind of phrased it that way and a bunch of people freaked out. But if you read into the lingo and then Facebook's clarification on the matter, basically it doesn't affect anything you're doing, unless you're a DJ who does live streaming DJ stuff with other people's music, or you're running like a radio page where you're streaming people's music kind of like without any actual visuals to it. They want people to be actively engaged on Facebook because they want people to see ads. So if you're running ads, it doesn't affect you in the first place, but then on the music side, like using a page, as long as you're posting actual visuals and not just still artwork in any videos you upload, you won't be affected at all. So that's kind of the perspective behind the new Facebook policy. They also said that they've actually been enforcing this policy for months. So if you haven't noticed anything happen, you should be fine. But keep in mind, if you're streaming like DJ or radio stuff, you might get affected. So that's that question. And I'll jump to your question, Nandan, hanging out in the chat. When I target countries all around the world for Spotify Facebook ads, I get decent results. But when I target the big six, USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, I get limited results. Why is this? I plan to do shows in the 6 countries I mentioned. That's why I ask. So this is kind of a nuanced... it's not a perfect answer I can give. I'm assuming by limited results, you mean like, you don't mean the cost is bad necessarily, it's just you're not getting enough results. One thing I can think of is pay attention to your audience size. So maybe around the world, whatever targeting you were using was very effective, but when you restricted to those 6 countries, the targeting was small enough where it's hard to target and compete. Now, if you're doing conversion campaigns, I feel like that should be fine, but there are campaign types that are more like bid-based, where if you have a very small budget, you won't be able to compete in those expensive countries because your budget is too small. So those are 2 factors. Like, look at your audience size, and feel free to reply to this and give me some more information in the chat. But look at your audience size for the countries you have, and if it shrinks when you bring it to those countries, you might want to change your targeting around. And then 2, depending on what type of campaign you're doing, it should be fine with conversions, but if you're using like link click campaigns, which first of all, don't use link click campaigns, but if you are, you know, so everything's kind of based on an auction and bidding. So if you have a really small budget in any case, you might be hard to compete in those spaces. Yeah, and the other factor actually is if you're doing this all under the same campaign, meaning like you had a campaign you're doing worldwide, and then you switch the targeting to be more restricted with different countries. Sometimes the campaign doesn't like figure itself out, and sometimes you have to make a separate campaign from scratch that just targets those countries. So if you're doing it all in the same campaign, that could be another side effect of that. So try each of those. Maybe first just try breaking off into a brand new campaign with that targeting and see if that helps, and then if not, like, you know, pay attention to the targeting and all that stuff too. Cool. Next up from the Patreon, we got Marky Trees, which I've never mentioned this, but I love that name. Are you only taking questions regarding Facebook ads? Nope. And if not, I've left some explanation on selling sample packs. Basically, I have ideas on what sort of packs to make, lots of guitar and Foley stuff, but no idea how to set up a store or make the product box design stuff for the branding. And never mind, I found out how to make the product box design, but still have to hear input in setting up a store, marketing, branding, what you've learned from your experiences, and what mistakes to avoid. And there's a lot behind this, I'm not going to lie. But in general, my best advice would be, a lot of people try to be like, oh, I'm going to make this complex store, I'm going to set up this custom WordPress thing and integrate these plugins and do all this stuff. And I tried to do this at first too. Originally, I ran Genera Studios, my sample pack company, through a Wix store, and it was not suited for selling digital products at all. But I made it work for like 6 months or something. Then I switched to something called Selz, which easily lets you SELZ. I don't really recommend it, but it works, and it's a little bit cheaper, and you can do much bigger files, which is why I switched to Selz. But my website was still a nightmare because I had my site on Wix and I had my stuff on Selz, and there's 2 different platforms, and it was kind of chaotic. And then I sent an email to Steven from Cymatics, just a cold email. I was like, hey man, I sell sample packs too. I'm wondering, what do you guys use for a website? If you'd be willing to share. Any advice you have would be greatly appreciated. And Steven from Cymatics actually replied, and he was like, honestly, just use Shopify, thank me later. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a free trial of Shopify. I figured out all the plugins. Like, there are a bunch of plugins you have to do to make it work, but it just worked. So I'd recommend looking into Shopify, and then there's a couple plugins that you have to use. I don't know if I have them open at the moment to check. But I use SendOwl to handle the digital file management, and I use One-Click Upsell by Zappify to handle upsells and stuff. So that's the structure I use for it. It's very expensive. I think I pay $80 or $90 a month between everything I use for the store. So, you know, at first you might just want to get in Shopify Basic and figure out some cheap option. But then the nice thing about Shopify is very scalable. But your cost inflates as you scale up. So I recommend going with Shopify. And avoid places like Wix and Squarespace. Now another part of that is the sample packs is you can sell on third-party distributors, like for example Sampleism. It's spelled like it sounds, Sampleism, and Contact Hub for contact libraries, and they're great. You'll get a lot of sales, but the problem is you don't access the customer list, so you have no emails to like retarget people. But it's great. It can work, and you can also try to get on sites like ADSR Sounds and Splice. I think I sent an application for Splice back in the day and never got a response. Sounds.com. There's a whole bunch of distributors, and you can get on a distributor, but keep in mind they'll take 50% of all sales, but they get you sales. So, and you don't have to make a website. So there's a trade-off to that. Nowadays, I don't go on any third-party distributors. I've kept my stuff up on those sites that I'm on, but I don't add anything new to them. I just do it all myself, so I maintain the customer list, the branding, and the marketing. It's all done. It's under my control, which I prefer, even if I would get less sales overall from it. So yeah, you figured out the product box stuff. Basically, anyone else wondering, like, if you want to make a product box, and what he means by this is if you go to like my store, I have all these nice product boxes for my sample packs, and I make this. So basically, like, you can make this in 3D modeling software. I wanted to just use Photoshop at the time to make it easy. So I found a template online. I Googled like box Photoshop template, and I found a site that sold a bunch of templates. I paid like $60 for it, and I can make all these different size boxes in 2D Photoshop very easy. So Google for templates like that. You can probably find a solid and a free one as well. You could also make a template from scratch if you're very good in Photoshop, and you could probably also use Blender, which if you saw this I did in Blender. I got my assets from the box art, which is 2D artwork, and I put them as a texture onto the 3D geometry and made a cool little background scene for it. So there's plenty of options out there, but that's kind of what I'd recommend you do. Cool. So that's the Patreon submissions. Let me check the chat here. Nandan again, clarifying from earlier, you use conversion ads, which you learned from my channel. Awesome. I actually have no problem with people from India or Mexico listening to music, but I want to target places I will perform. Yeah, that's a good strategy. Now, the thing is, what I would say, only do that if you actually have a strategy to like make those shows happen, or you have a strategy to sell merch. Like, right now it's a weird time because the world's still kind of shut down in places. But that can be a good strategy. Like a lot of people hit me up, like, I'm just going to target just the U.S. and all these places, but and they say because I want to play shows and I want to sell people stuff. But if you don't have that stuff like ready soon, then you can kind of like you're missing out on those retargeting opportunities anyways. And I recommend if you're still building an audience, you just build it up worldwide. Once you get to a stable size audience, maybe 10,000, 20,000 monthly listeners, then start like getting more specific. Now that you have a stable base and some kind of like numbers and actual fans to, to feed the machine, so to speak. That's kind of my take on that. Edwin Disla. Let me know if I said that right. I'll put the chat on the screen. I don't know how big it'll be. Edwin, hey. Hey. Honestly, man, love your videos and the work you're doing to help us artists. Thanks. Appreciate that. It's very much appreciated. I was wondering, where do you go to create a landing page to pixel and gather data? I use two services that I've shown before, and one of them is called Hyped It, and I'll show you an example of that. This is an example of something on Hyped It, and the ToneDen one is very similar as well. Both services essentially do the same thing, and neither one is really better or worse than the other. The perk is that ToneDen is free. So all you do, where'd my chat box go? All you do on those services is you copy and paste your pixel code into the, and my chat disappeared. You copy and paste your pixel code into the box that it gives you. So on these services, if I go back to ToneDen, if I edit this page, there'll be a box that says something like Facebook Pixel, and in here you just copy and paste your code, and you go back to Facebook Events Manager, and you make sure your events are firing. There's also an awesome Chrome plugin called Facebook Pixel Helper. Push this down a little bit. Facebook Pixel Helper. This will help you figure out any pixel problems are happening, like if events aren't firing correctly. That's what you use to check. So that's what I use for landing page services. ToneDen and Hyped It, they both work great. There's other ones out there, namely there's Feature FM, and there is Linkfire, and there's Smart URL, and there's, I think I'm missing some, but those are all the big players. I use ToneDen and Hyped It the most. I recommend people use I recommend people use ToneDen because it's easier to set up, and it's free to embed a pixel. Hyped It will cost you $100 a year. Dennis Fang. Excuse me. Dennis Fang. Let me switch the screen here. Hey Andrew, hope all is going well. I'm currently running a campaign with my track, which is an emo rap type song. I'm targeting hip hop interests with a 21-cent cost. Is that a good cost? Yeah, it's pretty good. There's some rule of thumbs that I use. One is I usually say 20 to 30 cents per conversion is like doing pretty good. Like you're not like at like the best performance you can get, but like you're in a reasonable range. That's a decent result. You can probably get it down further with some optimizations. If you're in the 10 to 20 cent range, you're doing great. You might be able to do some things to bring it down, but you have a great campaign in your hands, especially if it's brand new. If you're less than 10 cents, your campaign is on fire. For the love of God, keep spending the money while you have the chance. Like getting a campaign to like 6 cents a conversion or 7 cents or 8 cents a conversion doesn't always happen. So when you get that to happen, keep feeding it and keep utilizing that campaign if you can. So 21 cents, it's a pretty good start. I mean, like if it stayed at 21 cents for the lifetime of the campaign, that's pretty solid. But I would recommend still look into like using different ads, like adding multiple ads in there to drop the cost, adding new ad sets to potentially find cheaper audiences, different things like that. Trying different placements in the ads can help as well, and to try to bring that 21% cost down to maybe 15 or 10, over a couple of days or maybe a week or two. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Eddie Augustin, have you ever studied the Adam McDonald strategy? He combines ads, an album, and merch sales. Quite interesting. I think his strategy is based on paying for the ads by getting some sales. I've never heard of him, but I will Google him. Adam McDonald. Now, I mean, nothing even comes up. Oh, Tom. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I've never heard Tom McDonald's. Okay, it's all good, man. Tom McDonald's. I'm just kind of pulling up inside. I don't see anything when I type in business management. Yeah, I mean, like just talking about the way you described it. There is a good way, there are ways to fund your ads. And one great way to fund your ads is if you can find something that you can sell. And one way is to make it related to your music, and one way is to make it a side business. For me, I was selling sample packs and contact libraries and preset packs. So basically, I would make money from that side stuff and fund ads for my music and to grow playlist. And once the playlist got big enough, I could get on Submit Hub and Playlist Push, and I could kind of get money from people pitching to my playlist to further fund the playlist growth and also fund my music and fund ads for the other sales. And if you can think of a way to like sell products for your music, that's a great strategy as well. So if you can get an ad campaign from the start where you have some merch ready to go and you can run ads to target people on Facebook to get them to Spotify and then retarget them and sell them some music or sell them some merch or physical copies of something, you'll have a lot more capital to utilize with your ads, because the streaming money is always going to be smaller than physical sales. Like the best way to make money with your ads is to actually sell something. You can profit with Spotify alone. I've shown that for my ads, and I've shown that from a couple other artists who are doing it. But the most cost-effective way is to actually sell something, whether it's related to music or you find a side thing that's still music, but something that's separate from your music entity. So it's a good strategy. I mean, like, once you get things rolling, you shouldn't be paying for your ads yourself. Like, I mean, the money's coming from you, but you should have an income source that will fund the ads. At first, you might have to scrap and save some money or like work extra or something to get the cash, or maybe you just have the cash. But then eventually you should find a way to have another means pay for it. My Gmail says, my Gmail says Omari MC is bogus. Yeah, I don't want to comment on a specific company. I mean, I've used them in last year. I did a lot of playlist promotions, and I used them a couple times. What I can say is that out of all the playlist placement companies, they're one of the better ones. I mean, like, I'm against kind of playlist placement companies in general. I'm not a fan of them. But Omari MC gets better results than the other ones. And they do have great playlists, and sometimes you get bad results and sometimes you get good results. In general, I don't recommend any playlist placement company, but if you're gonna pick one, Amari MC is not a bad option, but always try ads first, and then if you don't have the money to fund a full ad campaign, just use like Submit Hub or something. I think that's a better option. Headbanger's Kitchen, I got a question. Has anyone ever tried these Facebook ad strategies with heavy metal music? I feel the audience to sell is very different and never seen a case study for it. Kind of. I kind of have. And there's a couple examples I can give you. Let me move my chat. So, now this isn't like as heavy. I've listened to your music. You make some pretty heavy stuff. So mine's not a perfect replica. One project is a mixture of dubstep and metal. And this is doing very well. I mean, like, these campaigns are some of my best campaigns. Maybe not some of my best anymore, but they were at the time, like 10-cent conversions for these metal mixed with dubstep ads. And the targeting I'm doing, if I go to Ascend, metalcore and dubstep, and then dubstep. And they're both doing pretty good. This is just the last 7 days. Let me go to Lifetime. The metalcore and dubstep one is actually doing it's doing better than the other one. And if I go to the last 7 days again, the cost per conversion is averaging in 11 cents per conversion, which is great. As I just said, like 10 to 20 cents, it's doing pretty great. The closer you get to 10 cents, it's like, fantastic. Oh my God, keep spending your money. And so this is one example. Now another example, this one is less heavy. Like the Murder Night project is very heavy, like lots of screaming, but it is mixed with dubstep. Day 4 is another one of my projects, and we do kind of like Linkin Park-esque music, like rap rock kind of era music. Nu metal, I guess, is probably a good description. So there are a lot of catchy melodies, and there is rapping in it, but there is also screaming, and there's also raspy vocals. So those are two examples of examples of that for you, of heavier music, and it can work. I know your music is probably not. It's like, if I remember correctly, it was like between the Buried in Me levels of heavy. So that might be different. You might have to get more creative, but I think there's a market for it. And the cool thing is, fans of that music are, yeah, as you said, if you're talking more extreme metal, like death and black metal. So the thing is that fans of those genres of music are a lot more hardcore than pop fans. So on one hand, there's less of them, but on the other hand, they really want to find new projects they like. So, you know, I'm sorry I don't have a perfect example for you, but I hope that my example with like Murder Night, which is like pretty heavy at times, can kind of give you hope that it probably would work as long as you got the targeting right. And it's not, you know, again, it's not perfect, but hope that helps you out. Cool. I'm going to grab another question from here, and then I'll kind of go back and forth between these and the chat, just so I don't miss out on anything. What is first here? I'll go. When running Facebook and Instagram ads for Spotify listeners, is it a good idea to only target the top 5 to 10 countries to get the conversion count high enough to make lookalike audiences? Or should I focus on all Spotify countries? Second question, you get high conversion rates from the same countries from song to song, or does it change? I typically target all Spotify countries if you're just starting, or if you have less than 10,000, 20,000 monthly listeners. I would just go with all Spotify countries minus India. And when you make a lookalike audience, do the same thing. Sometimes Facebook will yell at you and be like, you need more than 100 people in this country, and you'll have to make like a bunch of different lookalike audiences, and then I might do a specific country-wise lookalike audience and do like smaller, well, not every country because it would take too long, but in general, all countries. Now for your second question, you get high conversion rates from the same countries from song to song, or does it change? It's pretty much different with every song. Like some songs will perform very well and the next song might be more expensive. Some songs might get a huge response and number of results from like Brazil. That comes up a lot, but sometimes Germany's the number one and sometimes the United States is the number one, believe it or not. And it just kind of varies song to song. And I think it's a little bit of randomness. You know, people are unpredictable and ad costs between countries are always fluctuating. So it's hard to say why that always is. But, you know, every song's different and music's very subjective. So it's always different at least, even if I can't explain why it's different. You know, I just throw stuff out there, see how it comes back, optimize, optimize, optimize until I get a result I'm happy with. Cool. Hopefully that helps answer your question. Alan Cass. Hey man, I'm an independent artist from San Francisco and I actually know Mace from years back. Oh, hey, that's dope. A friend of mine showed me your YouTube page recently and asked if I knew your band, Dave. Oh, that reminds me. I gotta call him back. Mason actually tried calling me, but I was on a conference call. I forgot to ring him back. A friend of mine showed me a YouTube page recently, asked me to do day 4. I was like, bro, that's the homies. Mace's band from the way back. Yeah, that's dope. Edwin Disla, how do you know when to kill an ad and stop running it? Like if an ad starts to convert less than normal, do you kill it or do you continue it in hopes of it picking up? It's kind of a depends answer. So if the ad is doing bad, like for 1 day, I don't kill it. If it does bad for 2 days, I won't kill it. For the most part, I'll hope Facebook kind of like just acclimates itself and figures itself out. But if it's like consistently bad for like several days, I might turn it off. I usually don't have that problem. Now, in terms of the audiences, the ad sets, if I have a campaign with 4 ad sets, and maybe I can just show you an example of this. My song, Closer. See all these ad sets? These are what I call experiments, basically. You know, some of these, I didn't start with all of these. You can see the price difference. Let me go to the lifetime. You can see the price difference between some of these, like 68 cents all the way down to 7 cents per conversion. So, you know, this is an evolution. I didn't start with all of these. I started with, I think, this, and this or something like that, maybe with this. And then it's like, you know, basically after you spend $5 in an ad set, you've roughly tested it. So like I was like, okay, well this one spent $5. That sucked. This retargeting one I think I left on, but I couldn't find people. Chainsmokers was more expensive, and I was like, okay, kill that. When I killed that, I added dance music, and I added on, I edited this future-based one to get the cost lower. Originally it was much higher. And then I was still tweaking, and then I turned off this one, and then I added some lookalikes based on previous, and then I added India dance music to test, and that didn't work, so I turned that off. And then I think I added this lookalike previous, and then I added these and this, and then, you know, as you can see, I eventually turned off all of these. So it's a very iterative process. Like if you spent $5 in a campaign and it's been more than like a day or two, if it's doing bad, like, you know, maybe kill it and replace it with something new. It's never exact numbers or exact timelines. There's a little bit of intuition involved that comes with experience. But in general, if you spent $5 and it's been more than like 24, 48 hours and it's doing bad, you can probably kill it. If it was doing well and it starts doing bad, give it a couple days. If it's still bad, kill it or replace it. And it's you know, you never know for certain. Like there is a little bit of gambling in this. Not gambling, but you know, you could be something could have just happened where it's doing bad because Facebook's trying something out and maybe it was going to figure itself out and maybe you missed out by turning it off. Or maybe you leave it on and you just burn a bunch of money. So there's only so much I can say for that. Dennis Fang, I find it harder to target new artists in the emo rap genre. Facebook only recognizes artists in the past 5 years or 2 years. I feel like what contributes to the 21 cents is that it's not super specific. Yeah, I mean, it was one factor, but it's, yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. Some genres you can't get specific. I can't target most of my favorite, or what I would consider some of the best targets on Facebook. Like Millennium for some of my songs would have been a perfect target. Could not target him. I just work around it. And then for like the Murder Night stuff, like dubstep mixed with metal, there aren't really any perfect options. So I have to construct this weird thing where I'm combining 2 genres. And for you, I think that might be the way to go. Emo rap? I don't know. Target people who like Spotify, and they have to like emo music, and they have to like hip-hop. See how that goes. And the thing is, you're not really trying to find people that you sound like when you're targeting. You're trying to target people who are most likely to like your stuff. For example, Post Malone. If someone likes Post Malone, they're probably going to like emo rap. I mean, he's not necessarily emo rap. He kind of is, and I think fans that like his style would like a lot of emo rap stuff. Just like if I make pop music, I did a song, my most recent single actually, I think I targeted like Justin Bieber. I think. I targeted Justin Bieber, Shawn Mendes, the Chainsmokers, Ed Sheeran. The song doesn't really sound like any of these people, but I thought, well, Adament's on this song. He's the vocalist. I think if someone likes Justin Bieber, they're going to love his voice. And same with Ed Sheeran and Shawn Mendes. That was my guess. If people like those artists, they're going to love his voice. And then if people like the Chainsmokers, that music is more similar to the song. And same with Ed Sheeran. He has some more modern kind of electronic influences. And then I just tried straight up pop music as well. So sometimes vague isn't bad. Like you can see here, like the best performing ad set is pop music. That's super vague, like super vague, and it's the best performing ad set. So you don't have to be hyper specific. In this case, this is a USA only audience going at 15 cents per conversion, and it's just pop music with detailed targeting expansion turned on. So you don't really don't have to be the most specific in the world. You just have to make kind of good educated guesses and then test and fail and test and fail until you find something that works. Unfortunately, every time you do a test, you're spending money, so that there's a balance to it. Of course, you can't test forever. Josh Tice, what is up, man? How's it going? 3. What is the best strategies to market beats on Facebook ads? Whenever I try, people won't even buy the beats. Beats? Oh man, this is kind of a unique topic. I mean, for one, I'm not in the beats market. And I thought about doing it, but the thing is, it's so competitive now, and the people who are in it to win it. Like, they're making one beat a day with fully fleshed out artwork and tags and everything ready for whatever beat store they're selling on, and I don't have the time to do that. So I said, well, if I can't go in it and win it, I'm just not going to go in it. I'll do something else. So that's why I never got into it. Now, that hyper competition is probably why you're having trouble getting results. What I would target is I don't know if you can target rappers specifically. You can probably target vocalists. I think you can probably target rappers, but I would try to target rappers who are also interested in whatever genre beats you make, and I would do another ad set where you target maybe rappers who are also into like Ableton Live or music production, something like that, and try to come up with a bunch of different combinations of rappers and singers with something else that shows they're like a musician, and try to run ads for that. It's a tough market, like flat out, and so you might have to do some things to pull people in the door. Meaning you might have to have a couple beats that you give away for free, and you say like, hey, I just have an ad that's playing some music, and you like get your free beat, and then to get the free beat they have to give you an email address, and after they sign up, it's gonna give them some super good deal, like. Maybe they go on this page. It's like, hey, I wanted to give you this free beat just so you could try out rapping over my stuff to see if you like it. You can use it commercially, whatever. It's all good. They enter their email address. It's going to email them the beat in 5 minutes. But in the meantime, they check out this page, and that page says limited time only for the next, like 2 days or whatever date you pick. Or maybe it's a limited time sale and you don't leave a date. Or you have a time down, a counter that times down, like they have 5 minutes to decide. Limited time only, one-time offer. If you act right now, you can get 3 beats for some insanely good discount. Like, I don't know, $35. I don't really know what beats go for nowadays. I know the prices have gone down because of tactics like this. But get 3 beats for like super cheap. And then like the thing is, the reason why this works with really anything in the marketing world, but probably would for beats as well, and I know that a lot of people do this, is that people are much more likely, I believe the number is 7 times more likely, in fact, to give you money in the future if they've given you money in the past. Because there's a trust factor, right? I mean, like, if you've talked to someone, you know them, you're going to be more likely to do something for them if you've interacted with them in the past. And the same goes for purchases. If someone bought something from you, they're going to be more likely to buy from you again. And you have their email. And you can retarget them. So do things to get people in the door. This is a hyper-competitive market, so you can't have the no free beats mentality. Like, a lot of people are like, no free beats, no free beats. But if you do that, you're just never going to get some of those first sales. And I'm not saying you need to devalue your work, because your work is valuable. But you need to do something to get people in the door. It's in this competitive market. Same with sample packs. I have a lot of free sample packs in generastudios.com for that exact reason. People search free sample packs, they find me. I run ads with the free sample packs, they download them. I run sales all the time to give people a great deal because I know that repeat purchases are where the real money is at, long term at least. Yeah. Let me go on another question from the YouTube community. Artie McFly. Oh, hey, you're in the chat also. Question, if we miss a live stream, do you cut the interview short? Because I'm trying to find the full interviews for the last one you did. Yes, for interviews. So for the interview videos, I air them live. I unlist them. I post them on Patreon. And then a couple weeks later, I edit out some stuff. Maybe we left a Patreon or a live stream exclusive portion for that purpose alone, basically to give some exclusivity to being there live kind of thing, or being part of the Patreon. And then I upload the full video. So yes, I think I might have forgotten to put that video in the Patreon. So if you want to see it, the full video will be in the Patreon. And if you join and it's not there, just message me and be like, I want to see this video, and I'll put it there if I forget. But that's the process I do. I don't leave them full just because on YouTube the whole game is like impressions and click-through rate and watch time. And if I leave like 20-30 minutes at the end of a video that I don't think will be good for the video performance, I'll cut it out. That's kind of like what YouTube, the algorithm, I'm catering to the algorithm to a degree. Like, my goal is to give you as much information as possible, but there's a balance between getting as much information but making sure that video actually goes out and reaches the right people to ultimately help them get that information. So that's why I do that. And you are actually the next question on here, so I'll jump to you here. What do you feel about buying to get on a Spotify playlist? Never do it under any circumstances. 1, it is against Spotify's terms of service for both you and the playlister, meaning the playlister can get banned from Spotify and have their playlist deleted, which for them is kind of like a, meh, I'll make a new one. For you, your account will get banned from Spotify and you'll never be able to upload to Spotify under that artist name again, potentially, depending on what the ban is. Probably it would be a temporary suspension or something, or they would block you from your distributor. At the very least, it's going to be a severe interruption to your brand. So never pay outright for a Spotify playlist. Pitching companies get around this because you're not paying to get on the playlist, you're paying to pitch. And this is how Submit Hub and Playlist Push also work. It's a pitching system. Those services are a lot better than something like Omari MC or Daimoon Media or whatever, because it's open. You get to see the feedback, you get to see who it is, you can like look up their playlist and stuff. It's very transparent. But never pay outright to get on a playlist. Maximus, on the beat topic again, get one of your friends to rap in your beats, get them on Spotify, and then people will want your beats. And yeah, that's a solid strategy. Like, if you can get you have some friends that rap, maybe they're successful, not a bad idea. And then another thing is you can release your beats on Spotify if you want. I mean, like, you don't have to, you can make a fake artist name if you want, or you can use your real producer name. I would recommend using your real producer name, because if your music starts to do well on its own and they go to look into you and they find out you actually sell beats, maybe they'll buy beats from you. If you can blow up your production brand and it's tied to your beat making brand, then they're going to kind of help each other out, right? So that's another strategy that I know people do. They'll put their beats online as like a mixtape or something, whatever they call it, beat tape. So yeah, good idea, Maximus. Oh, Headbanger's Kitchen, talking about the metal community being very hardcore. Yeah, they do buy a lot of physical product when they love a band. Like, I have when Periphery came out with the first album, I bought it like immediately, and I bought a shirt. And I've seen them live 3 or 4 times, and like, I mean, I don't see many live bands, but I'll see like Between the Buried and Me and Meshuggah and Periphery and Protest the Hero and Tesseract, and I have merch from a bunch of them. Usually not CDs anymore, but like Periphery, I have a CD because I think it was like right after it came out. I think I might have pre-ordered it actually. But yeah. Let's take another one from the community page here. Luca B. Can you talk more about targeting all Spotify countries, but with priority to first world ones, and how to do that? Were you in the chat asking that? No, that was another name. Targeting all Spotify countries with priority to first world countries, and how to do that. So, it's actually a lot simpler than it sounds. I kind of have it here. So this is my campaign for my song Chains, which is my most recent song. Check it out on Spotify if you haven't yet. It's doing very well, actually. I'm very happy with how that song's doing. It's been out for 2 weeks, almost. Came out Friday, September 4th. And we're already at 20,000 streams. It's doing very well. It's the cheapest campaign I've ever run, I think. 7 or 8 cents. Maybe it's not the cheapest. It's not. It's one of the cheapest, though. So this campaign kind of has one example of that. I have a USA-only audience. And the difference here, basically to test different, what was your exact wording? With priority to first world ones. What you're going to do is you're going to make a new ad set, and you're going to put whatever countries you want to prioritize in that ad set. That's your audience here. And then whatever targeting you're going to do, that part is the same as the normal ad set creation. But you can go to show more options, ad set spend limits. And here you can define minimum and maximum values for your ad sets. And I set a daily minimum of $5. And as you can see, Facebook says they don't guarantee that amount will be spent. But it seems to be doing roughly on par with that. Like it's put money behind it. And it's doing fine. In fact, I think it's doing better than what they expected, because I think it spent more than $5 per day. Yeah. But that's how you do it. And you don't have to put just the US in there. You could do US, Canada, whatever list of countries you want. And if you want to have multiple different tests with different targets, then you can do multiple of these and give them different minimum budgets and different maximum budgets. Keep in mind, if you can't always restrict everything the way you want. Facebook gives you some limits. Like they'll say you can't shrink this budget. It'll disrupt the campaign too much. And then you have to just make a new one and restrict it from the start. And then when it gets up and running, turn that one off. So yeah. And then you had a second question I'll just answer here. If you had a budget of $1,200 for 8 songs being dropped in 2 months, how would you use it? These are only singles. How would you distribute the budget? What kinds of tests would you run? I really want to hear your perspective. And first of all, the first part of this, I will say, 8 songs being dropped in 2 months. My first response would be, don't drop 8 songs that quickly as all singles. That's a song a week, and that'll actually hurt your Spotify algorithmic performance, because you can only have one song on release radar at a time. So what happens is that either the next song you put out, like, so a song can stay on release radar for up to 4 weeks. So if you release a song a week later, that song is either going to kick that one off release radar, or that song's not going to get on release radar at all. And then the third one is going to be the same thing, and the fourth one is going to be the same thing. And so you're just going to be constantly fighting with your own music. So I don't recommend releasing more than once every 4 weeks because of that reason. Unless you have a very specific reason, like you're going to be doing a ton of social media promotion, you're going to have this like viral video strategy, whatever you're doing, probably don't do it in general. If you want to release more music, maybe release every 4 weeks, release a 4-song EP, something like that, or just spread this out over 6 to 8 months instead. I think that would be the best way. Like, maybe do a single a month and then drop an EP, or maybe do a single a month and then drop an album. Like, there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but don't release 8 songs in 2 months. Now, the second part is that I tend to give the same budget to every song, roughly. Every song I do, I pick a budget ahead of time, and I'll say, for this single, I'm going to spend $300, or I'm going to spend $400, or I'm going to spend $500. And sometimes I tweak that along the way, but pick a budget for each song, and it's going to be pretty much even. You might tend to go upwards over time, just because your numbers are going to be increasing. To an extent, it gets harder to keep growing linearly. There's kind of, Spotify I've noticed has like kind of plateaus. Like it's hard to get from like no monthly listeners to like 1,000 for some reason. Part of it is that you're really learning. You don't really know what you're doing. So once you figure out what you're doing, you'll get to a couple thousand monthly listeners relatively easily. But then it's like a battle to get to 10,000, and that can be hard. But then once you get to 10,000, I feel like I shot up to 20 pretty fast. And now I'm kind of at another plateau where I'm trying to push to like 50, and I'm at 27, and so, you know, it's nothing's linear. There's kind of like this weird wavy line of progress. But I would say if you have 8 songs and you have $1,200, divide it up. So that would be $150 per song, roughly. And the cool thing is, if you spread these releases out further, you can probably afford to do more money per song. Probably, right? And then if you're going to string them along and do single EP, you know, that gives you another opportunity. Maybe this EP has 4 songs and you're going to do 4 singles. So each single gets, you know, $150, and then the EP gets $600 or whatever that math works out to, because you have the 4 songs in one, and that budget kind of gets combined. And then people might listen to all the songs when you send them there, or maybe they listen to one. But those are a couple different strategies I would consider, at least. Just Tice, I think you were talking about what I said earlier. I'm getting a little behind in the chat. Is 20%? Yeah, 20% is a pretty. It's like a good conversion rate. It's not like the best. Like 20%, it's like respectable. If you have that, like, it's good. Like, you could do that for your whole campaign and it's fine. 20 to 30 cent is kind of like good. You can probably push it down further. 10 to 20 cents is like really good or great, and then if it's less than 10 cents, it's like, heck yeah, keep rolling. Guy Furs, what do you think of the Events Tool Manager? I really like it, I think. I'm guessing you just mean the Events Manager in Facebook. It's not like the best thing in the world. It doesn't always, it's not like the most useful thing sometimes, like when you want to go into things and like actually see all your events listed, but I mean, it works. I really like, a lot of people don't realize there's a test events function in here, and you can test events, but I use the Facebook Pixel Helper Chrome extension more than Events Manager. You need Events Manager to set stuff up, like make custom conversions or whatever. Like today I made a custom conversion for a custom like little website I made. Just to give you a kind of a foreshadowing. I actually, so I bought a domain name, andrewonspotify.com. I thought it was a nice easy thing. Just go to andrewonspotify.com. Now I don't have the full host domain name set up, but if you go to andrewonspotify.com/chains, I made my own landing page. And this is actually, I custom coded this from scratch. And I made it so that I could embed all these pixel events that I wanted to, because I'm testing out Google Ads. So it's literally like custom coded from scratch. It's not hard. I'm not like showing off or anything, but I custom made this thing. And Google, because like with toned it and hyped it, you can't really do the Google conversions very well. So I'm running a Google Ads conversion-based campaign with this to test it. I needed to do something like this to properly test it out. So I had to go in here and I had to make a custom conversion so that I could track it in Facebook, because tracking it in Google Analytics was kind of a nightmare. But it's like every time I get I set it up so every time I get one of these Facebook conversions, I know that I've also gotten a Google conversion, so that I don't have to just trust the Google Ads conversion numbers. Like maybe they don't track as well. So that way, like over time, I can say, look at the Google conversions and then see if it matches with the Facebook conversion. If it doesn't, try to figure out why. But if it does, that's confirmation that Google Ads is doing roughly what Facebook is. I'm more familiar with Facebook, so that's why I'm using the Events Manager. It wasn't really what you asked, but just give my perspective on Events Manager a little bit more. Dennis Fang, in your videos, you use campaign budget optimization a lot. I'm currently batching all the artists together. Do you think it's better to use CBO to let Facebook tailor which artist has a better cost? So if you bunch them all together, essentially Facebook's just figuring out it the same way. Like Facebook, like you're giving Facebook all these people, so they're going to go and they're going to test all those targets to figure out what performs the best anyways. The only difference is you don't get to see it. You have no idea of determining, of all these artists in this ad set, which one gave you the results. Facebook's not going to tell you. But if you split them into different ad sets, you can tell, right? It's in the data. And then with campaign budget optimization, it's kind of doing the same thing, right? It's just tweaking the variables to try to get results. I don't know why my... Okay, I just needed to refresh my page there. But yeah, I always use campaign budget optimization, and if you only have one ad set, it's really just going to do nothing, essentially. Guy Furs, do you think it's better to add about 10 many similar artists in your audience targeting, or just about 3 to 5? It depends on your budget, because you have to, for every ad set you have, I'll go to my chain Spotify example. For every one of these ad sets you have to be spending at least $1 per day. If you try to add another ad set, like, what is this budget now? I'm in this new, I just upgraded to the new version of Facebook ads, so I'm not as fast as I used to be. I spent, where? Oh, okay, it's right there, $12 a day. So I could have up to 12 ad sets in this, and then if I tried to reduce my budget, it would be like, you have to get rid of an ad set if you want to reduce your budget. So I tend to go with more, and the more I'm spending, the more ad sets I start with. Kind of, like, I always start, like, I think with this, I started with, I think I started with this or something. I don't really remember entirely because I edit stuff after the fact. I think I added, or maybe I started with this, then I added this, and then I added this, I believe. And these last significant edits, I mean, at the very least, I added this after. So sometimes I'll start with less and I'll add more over time. But each of these only has one artist in it. Sometimes I do bundle them, and if you bundle them, it's more about the audience size than anything. Like, you know, if like each artist has like 10 million fans, you're probably going to split them. But if each artist has 100,000 fans, you're probably going to bundle 10 of them together to make this audience size a little more respectable. Depending on your genre, of course, it's different with every size genre. Benny Hunnit. Do you use Premiere Pro to create all of your Instagram content, or do you use any other content creator? I use Premiere Pro to create every piece of video content that I produce. It's the only video editor I use. I have messed with DaVinci Resolve, but I've never like uploaded a video with DaVinci Resolve. So yeah, Premiere Pro, I love it. If you don't need Adobe CC, then it probably doesn't make sense for you. DaVinci Resolve is a great program, and the free version is like most of what you're going to need to do. But Premiere Pro, I mean, like, I use Photoshop very regularly. I use Premiere Pro very regularly. I use Lightroom regularly. I use Illustrator every so often. So for me, the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite for like $50 a month or $600 a year makes a whole lot of sense because I use them so extensively, especially Premiere. I use the crap out of Premiere and Photoshop. Even though I'm not doing anything complex, it makes my life easier, especially with Creative Cloud and the way it works and updates and multiple computers, and you don't have to worry about, like, I only have one license. It's kind of like a floating license. You can have up to 2 computers. But yeah, I use Premiere Pro. Midnight Drive, yo, how's it going? How can you set up a custom conversion like those Hyped It visits so I can also make a pixel for it? Basically, you go into your Events Manager tool, and you set it up like any other custom conversion. So you go to Create Custom Conversion, and you're going to just add your Hyped It Smart Link Click here and give it a name, and that's it. name it like Hyped It Stream or something like that. Or you can just use ToneDen. With ToneDen, they actually just use the view content conversion, which you don't even need a custom conversion to use, which is why I recommend people just use ToneDen at first, because it's easier. And it's free, too. That's the other reason. I scrolled. Darthus. Hello, greetings from Argentina. Hey. Any tips on how to promote orchestral kind of soundtrack for movies / games music? That's a tricky one. I mean, I would you could try out targeting people who are interested in like video game soundtracks maybe, or if you have a certain game in mind that your music sounds like, maybe target people who are into like orchestral music but also like those games. Just an idea. I mean, and like you can, if I'll go into this thing here and let me just duplicate this random ad set. I'm not going to publish this. This is just for example. the way you do that is, you're trying to market your orchestral music, so you might go Spotify, narrow by orchestral, orchestra, music, orchestra. Maybe you'd probably consider adding orchestra and seeing if that, be one of your ad sets, but maybe that's not a good one. So maybe video game music. I don't know if that's available or not. Video game music, it's available. So that's neat. So that might be a potential option. And then maybe, could you also do maybe soundtrack? Soundtrack, one word. No. Okay, maybe you can't do soundtrack. Oh, no, you can. Okay. You can actually target Frozen soundtrack. That's interesting. Grey's Anatomy, Motion City, the Lion King soundtrack. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I would explore this. Who knows? It might actually be a good targeting option. I've never done this because I've never had music for myself that's that genre, but that's probably what I would try first. Just Tice, can you do an ad on a cover song, or is that copyright even if uploaded to Spotify? I don't know. I think if you have a cover song license, which you probably have to upload it to Spotify, I think you could do an ad. People do ads for cover songs all the time. I don't really know the legality of that, because you're kind of using it commercially. But at the same time, it's fair use, but it's commercial fair use, so therefore it's not fair use. Man, I don't know. You'd have to consult a lawyer on that one. I don't know. I've never tried it. I know a lot of people do it. They'll do cover songs in their ads. I don't know if it's legal, though. OBS is so clean. Good stream. Yeah, OBS is dope. This is basically what I stream with. It's an open source free software called OBS. And not only do I stream with it, I record all my videos with it. So here, this is me. And it's coming from a Canon EOS R. I was going to make a YouTube video on this, and I still might, but this is kind of a summary for you. I use a Canon EOS R with a 4K cam link by Elgato, and then I use a Stream Deck so I can do things like this, click a button, and you won't see it anymore, but I can also, I can do a whole bunch of other things, I can put a phone number on the screen, and I have a couple other options as well, but yeah, OBS is dope. It's fantastic. Midnight Drive. Oh, I think you're talking about the playlist promo. Yeah, never do playlist promotion ever, really. I mean, not never do playlist promotion. Never do those playlist pitching companies. I have a whole video on talking about sketchy playlist promotion, so check that out. This is my first music marketing video, actually. Arcade McFly, I market my beats on Spotify. Yeah, so uploading your beats to Spotify is a solid thing. It might actually help you get beat sales. Midnight Drive, you release every Friday, every last Friday of the month. That's a good way to do it. You're at least 4 weeks in between then. You could, right? Yeah, you might, I guess, occasionally be increased, right? Because some months are longer than 4 weeks. So yeah, that's a way to do it. I just try to do every 4 to 6 weeks. I'll drop a song. Sometimes it ends up being a little bit longer if I'm not ready, and I don't find that it really hurts me much. But 4 weeks is kind of the bare minimum. Not the bare minimum. 4 weeks is the fastest you should ever release. Don't go faster than that. I'd recommend not going longer than 6 or 7 weeks in general. That seems to be kind of the sweet spot, 4 to 6. Allergic to bullshit. Amazing. Thank you. Darthus, I have a really good friend, and he puts my singles on his business on close to play all night on a loop. Does that make any good or on bad? I have 78 listeners. Oh, he puts his singles on his business when it's closed to play all night. That's a gray area thing. Justin Bieber, I think, got I don't know if he gets sued by Spotify or Spotify deleted a song or deleted the streams from a song because he told his fans to open up Spotify, make a playlist with just his new song Yummy, and put it on loop for all night. And it worked, and the song popped hardcore, and Spotify saw his post telling his fans to do that, and they had some dispute over it. So yeah, I don't know. It's only one person. That's the thing. You're kind of cheating the system. So it's definitely bad. I don't know if it's going to hurt you. If they find out, you're definitely going to get in trouble. Hopefully they don't use this video as evidence. I won't tell though, but I would probably stop that practice because it's not a good idea at the very least. Arcade McFly contacted your rapper guest on Instagram, and he told me to run ads on playlists for my beats. Yeah, that could work. I'd probably say run them to the song or the album or your artist account, but you can do it on a playlist too. There's different perks of each one, but yeah, it'll work. Glico Beats, could you help me? I'm a hip-hop artist. Check out my video I uploaded last Friday. There's 3 different ways. Basically, 1, I have a course. 2, I do consultations. I did 2 tonight, actually. And then 3, I can run ads for people. I do it as a service. So check out the video on Friday. There's links for everything in that video and descriptions of the services, so you kind of know what to expect with each one. The queue for ads is kind of long. I'm still replying to people from that video, so if it takes me a couple of days to get back to you, I apologize. But Guy Furs, why do most of my ads have an above average conversion rate but a below average engagement rate? How is that even possible? People are converting but not engaging. I think it's because the engagement rate is based off how they engage on the platform. Like, are they staring at this ad for a while? Are they clicking like? Are they watching this video for a long time? Are they commenting? If someone's converting, they probably saw the ad, got interested, and went to your site. So I think that's why, like, a high conversion rate will often mean a bad engagement rate, depending on the placement. Some placements have no way to engage, like an audience network placement. But an Instagram placement, if they click right away because they're so interested, like, they're not going to engage with the post. So I can see why those situations come up very often. Rebin, if you're not doing conversions, what is the best way? Conversions. Don't do link clicks. Don't do just do conversion campaigns. It's free. I mean, like, there's no, well, they're not free. You have to run the ads, but there's no additional cost to do a conversion campaign, and it's easy to set up with ToneDen. So I would seriously do the conversion campaigns. If you really can't, for whatever, I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't, but if you can't, the next best step is landing page views, but you still have to have a pixel embedded on the page because it's a form of conversion, a landing page view. Don't use traffic. Engagement is sketchy. Like, you'll have to not target a lot of countries because of bot activity. Same with video views. You have to avoid a lot of countries with engagement and video views because there's no way to read out what's a bot and what's a human. So yeah, I really, really recommend using conversion campaigns. Like, really, really, really. In everything. Like, you know, everything. Unless you really, like, the thing you're going for is a video view. You want to blow up a post, make it go viral. Like, if you're trying to send people somewhere, use conversions. Gabriel Hughes, can you use any gateway service with Facebook ads? I'm guessing you mean like a landing page service, in which case the answer is yes. Like, I use Hyped and ToneDen. You could also use Linkfire, Smart URL, and Feature FM, and there's probably a bunch of others out there. Adamant Music, it's essential. I don't remember when you commented which part you were talking about, but hey man, how's it going? Zolo, when's a good time to change your ad visuals if you've been running ads over a month? You might never have to. I mean, like, if I give you an example, for my song Closer, I think this came out 2 months ago. Let's see what the... Where's the this new version of Facebook ads, man. Where's the frequency? It might be in a different... No, it should be in here. Why am I not seeing it? I could have sworn it was right there. There's a frequency option. Okay. If you ever can't find something, you can go to Customize Columns, and you can actually make your own columns. Okay, it was turned off for that placement. So I'll just make my own little custom column here, and somewhere in here there should be frequency. Here we go. So This ad's been running for like 2 months, maybe more than that. Frequency is less than 2 for almost every single one. This one's 2.23, which is still pretty good. I mean, an impression is what determines the frequency. And an impression could be the person didn't even notice it. Like, watch this. Watch this. I'm going to go to Instagram. Let me find an ad. I wish I could just stream my phone thing here. Also, for some reason, my phone internet is being very slow. And this is the longest I've ever scrolled without seeing an ad. Oh, there we go. Facebook Gaming. I've been getting a million ads for them. So there, impression, impression, impression. You know, scrolling, think of all the impressions you just had. You didn't read any of them. You didn't see any of them. So people think like, oh, an impression, like everyone's seen my ad 2 times, 3 times. It's like the thing is that an impression is such a like minuscule thing that the fact that they saw your ad 2 or 3 times really doesn't mean that they saw your ad 2 to 3 times. So an impression rate of like 1 to 2 is fine, 2 to 3 is fine. If your impression or your frequency goes up to like 4, I think Facebook just starts turning off it stops sending your ad to people. But if it starts getting higher, then you might want to add in a new advertisement. As you can see here, if I go to this one and I go to the ads, I have 3 ads for this song from day 1. And so that helps reduce the frequency. And now if I also go to my campaign for Chains, most recent song, I go to the ads, well, I probably should have selected pop music, for example. Why is this? I'll delete that later in draft. You know, there's 4 ads for this song, so as a result, the frequency is going to be super low because there's so many different options from what Facebook can show the person. Man, hour just whipped by real quick, huh? I'm going to take a few more questions, then I'll call it a night because it's like midnight. Feel free to keep dumping your questions in. I'll just stop at some point. Let's stop at 12:15. How about that? Or in 8 minutes. Allergic to bullshit. Please, can you repeat the name of that free app for Pixel? I think you mean the Facebook Pixel Helper. That's the Chrome extension. Facebook Pixel Helper. It's a free Chrome extension. If you're talking about the landing page, it's Toneden. 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 Their free plan includes landing pages, and you can embed a pixel on them. So, Facebook Pixel Helper and Toneden. Isaiah Hilly, check my video that came out Friday. That'll tell you how to get in contact with me for consultations, or how to where you can buy my course, or 3, where you can hire me to run ads. I don't really check my Instagram DMs. I got overwhelmed. For at least for the meantime, I've been kind of just like going away from Instagram a little bit, and just to kind of simplify life so I can focus on things that are more effective than that. Nandan, are you a part-time artist or full-time artist? I mean, I have a full-time career as a mechanical engineer, but I mean, essentially, I do full-time music. I mean, think about it like this: during a 5-day work week, you have 40 hours to work, you have 40 hours to sleep, and you have 40 hours of free time during a 5-day work week, not even counting the weekends. So if you don't socialize, you can get a second 40 hours in of music or music-related things like YouTube channel or a sample pack business or beat store. And if you have the weekends, you have even more free time. So, obviously you don't always work just 40 hours at your job. Sometimes you work 50 hours at your job. And sometimes you don't sleep 8 hours a day, which is very common for me. So, yes, full-time, but it's not my only thing. It's kind of funny. I don't know where it's a good site to clear samples. Arcade McFly. I think if you Google it, there's like Fox McFox. Oh man, there's like one website that Harry Fox Agency, I think, is the company that does it. They don't clear sample. They clear like licensing for cover songs and other stuff like that. Stay strong. You're open to doing marketing for artists? Yes, I actually do it. Check out my video on Friday like my last video from Friday to see how you can do that. Pictura, hey, from Costa Rica. Hey. Darthius, you're on the Millen Brothers. Nice. Yeah, everyone go check out the Millen Brothers on Spotify if you're curious about, I think you were the orchestral soundtrack type music. Cool. Yeah. Probably good if you stop doing the repeat streams overnight. You don't want to get banned for something stupid like that. I did playlist promotion. Dennis Fang. I did playlist promotion. It really messed up my fans also like section. Is it possible to fix it where the artist that it suggests sounds like me? You can fix it by sending more people that are right to your page and having them engage with your music. There's no way to edit it. There's no way to contact Spotify and have them change it. It's completely algorithmically based. You have no control over it. And a lot of people, apparently, like pop people, will get a bunch of like death metal music like related artists and complain about it online. Because when I was trying to learn about it, I found a lot of complaints. Like, why am I getting all these like hardcore bands in my related artists? I'm like a rapper or pop music or EDM. And it's just how the algorithm works. It'll be wrong for a while. It'll get better over time. You just kind of got to stick with it for a while, I guess. And Midnight Drive brought up a good point. If someone's looping your track, it hurts you in the sense that you don't know what's happening organically. It's kind of like if you're like botting your Instagram, you're hurting yourself. One, because you're doing something against the platform's rules, but two, you don't really know what's actually working because you're getting all this fake stuff. So it's hard to like segregate the good from the bad, from the real from the fake, So that's a good point, Midnight Drive. VS1 Lido, hey. Guy Furs, have you ever tried Feature FM? Yeah, I tried it back when it was cheaper. They raised the prices and I canceled it because I was using something else. I tried it like back in the day. I tried their Deezer ads back in the day and didn't really find it very effective. And I think I tried one of their other ad types because they actually will do ads for you, like as a service through there. Their landing page service is fantastic. It's just so expensive. It's like $25 a month for their service. I don't want all those other features. I just wanted the landing page, which is why I canceled when they raised the prices. But the cool thing about their landing page service is you can actually have one page and one pixel, but like 8 different links. So you can have an Instagram link. It'll be like your base page / IG or something. You can have a different one for Facebook, different one for YouTube, and then it'll track all of them separately with the same core page. So it's a good way to have one page, but give out like 8 different, subtly different links so you can see actually which traffic source you're getting. So you use one of them in your ads, one of them organically kind of thing. It's really good. Arcade McFly, can you do a video on how to run TikTok ads? I could. I actually do have access to the TikTok ads platform, and I keep meaning to get a campaign going because now that I have a, I mentioned before, I made my own little website from scratch where I could more easily embed some of those weirder pixels, like TikTok. I mean, ToneDen added the ability to add a TikTok pixel, but I made this for a Google conversion setup, and I can also use it for TikTok. So I have like $400 in ad credit in my account on TikTok ads. So I'm going to get a campaign going. It's just getting the time to set it up and then make a video on the results. I did do some campaigns in the past, but they failed so bad. I want to give them a fair shake before talking about their ad platform. Skate Alex, what, you sound familiar. Maybe I've just seen you in these videos. How many plays or saves can it take to get on Discover Weekly? And it's not an exact science, and it's kind of based on your audience size, but in general, I found, like, this is complete, like, don't hold this, like, as a concrete number, but in general, for my music, 15 to 20,000 streams, over 1,000 plus saves, over 200 playlist additions from users, and a save rate of higher than 50% with a repeat listen rate of higher than 3x or 2x. I forget which one. Maybe like 2.5x or higher. Just for my music. And I've done a poll on my community page from people who have in my course. And I need to compile all that data and make a report because I was planning on getting all the information and kind of making a graph of like people who got on Discover Weekly, how many streams they had, and other metrics. So stuff like that's coming. It's just kind of try not to spread myself too thin. You know, I am spreading myself too thin, but that data will come. But that's rough numbers. It's you know, take it with a grain of salt. Some people get on, but they'll be like, I get 1,000 streams and a horrible save rate, but I got on Discover Weekly, and it's like, okay, congratulations, but also screw you at the same time. You know, it's and then some people, it's like, I've gotten 25,000 streams and I great rates when I'm not in Discover Weekly, and it's like, well, I'm sorry. It's kind of the game, you know. There's a lot of metrics behind the scenes that Spotify doesn't give us access to. I ran an ad campaign through ToneDen for their 7-day trial. After one day, I had to take India out. They had like 50 plays in one day, but at the end of everything, 550K impressions, CPR. Oh my God, yeah. India is really hit or miss. I just exclude them entirely. And I've had people comment and mean like, I'm from India, like there's real music fans here, and I'm just like, I know, it's targeting ads in India is kind of difficult, and some other countries have issues too when it comes to ads, but I found that India is the hardest to navigate like in a consistent manner. So that's why I just exclude them. Sonny Hendricks, if you know how to use Facebook ads well, why use ToneDen at all? I just use them their landing page service. I don't use their ad service personally. And if you know Facebook ads well, you probably don't need ToneDen either. And they really, like ToneDen, I think, has done a great job of how they present their service, because they sat down with me for an hour to explain their service. If I had any questions, they already knew ahead of time. They're like, yeah, the way we do our ads is the same way you do your ads. It's the same way that everyone that's doing well with ads is running their ads. And they're like, they told me straight up, and you know, this service isn't for everyone. This is specifically for people who want to get into marketing their music the right way with Facebook ads, but they don't know how to do it themselves, and they don't want to learn how to do it themselves, because then it's, you know, it doesn't work for everything, right? Like you can't use it to do like complex retargeting schemes, and you can't do it to like sell products. Like they design a playbook for just like Spotify growth. But it's cheaper to use that than it is to hire someone to do your ads. So that's why it exists. That's who it's for. Someone who doesn't want to do it themselves, and then they don't have as much budget, so they can't hire someone, so they're going to just pay $50 a month and run ads with ToneDen. So if you know how to do it, just do it yourself. You know, and they're fully supportive of that. But the service does work. The service is good. It can't do everything that you can do yourself. For the thing that it does well. But it is expensive. Gabriel Hughes. Oh, you're talking about the save rate and stuff? Yeah, so Gabriel, actually, you brought up the more it's... You mentioned pre-saves. Pre-saves actually don't matter because pre-saves don't exist. So what happens, and I keep meaning to make a video about this because it would be very clickbaity. The video would be called Pre-saves Don't Exist, or Spotify pre-saves don't exist, because they don't. What happens is when you pre-save, whatever service he does gets permission from the user to store their username, store their client ID, and store the song ID, and then on release day, it'll go and it'll save the song to their account. So pre-saves don't exist. What a pre-save does is it gives you higher day one saves. So there's no difference between getting a whole bunch of saves in day one versus having a bunch of pre-saves. Because in a lot of pre-save services, you can actually set the time that your saves happen at. You can set it at like 3 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 5 p.m. You know, you get to pick, because that's how the pre-save system works. Spotify has no idea that your pre-saves existed ever. So but the saves do matter. So like, you know, high save rate is important. Yeah, Darthus, yeah, having things like this can definitely mess up your stats. Oh yeah, Gabriel. Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought you didn't know. But yeah, saves in general are good. But I guess for everyone else listening, now you know my spiel about pre-saves. A lot of people don't know that, surprisingly. Miko, what would you recommend in terms of YouTube SEO? And this will be the last question. For YouTube SEO, you want to be mindful of the kind of path of a user takes. For example, they stop scrolling by seeing your thumbnail. So they see your thumbnail, they stop scrolling, and that comes them to read the title. So the title has to hook them to click on the thumbnail or click on the title to go to the video. The first 5 seconds hooks them to watch the rest of the video, and the end of the video should get them to watch another video. That's the secret YouTube growth strategy. And you know, a lot of people are looking for a lot of quick hacks, and like YouTube SEO, it's like important but not at the same time. I don't like, at the end of the day, it's better to have something that appeals to the person more than the SEO. Like, if it's better to have a video that's just like, I can't believe this happened, and the thumbnail just blows your freaking mind. Like, you're like, oh my god, why can't this happen? Like, think about it. That title has no SEO value whatsoever, but that video can perform insanely well if it gets people to see it and click and watch at a high rate. So SEO is important for some initial discovery methods, like showing up in search results. But at the same time, and this is an example that a really good channel called Video Creators uses, if you search for how to draw a husky puppy, and this won't be the same for everyone, but he was showing an example of how I'll just switch to this camera now, how his daughter was searching on an iPad how to draw a husky puppy. His like 7-year-old or whatever. And what came up was a video that had a picture, a thumbnail, of a cat that kind of looked like a puppy, but the title said how to draw a cat. So you started thinking, why did that come up? And it's because statistically, little kids, when they search that thing and they see this picture, they think it's just a puppy. It kind of looked like a puppy, but it was actually a cat. The title didn't matter. The SEO didn't matter. The algorithmic collaborative filtering that is YouTube, which is the same way that Spotify works, determined that this video is relevant for this person at this time. So SEO is important, but only to a degree. So like I use a service called Morning Fame. It's like a keyword research tool, and that helps me get like, I'll try to come up with something that's what I think would be good appeal to the person that is also SEO worthy. Longer tail keywords like Facebook ads for music artists, like bigger keywords like that. And then the perk of that is that, you know, that's a title that if someone saw, it'd be like, Facebook ads for music artists. I'm a music artist, and I'm trying to get into Facebook ads, you know, and then the title will show something relative to the topic to get the retention. So yeah, that's my strategy in that. And I'll comment the JSense thing because he jumped on late. Again, what did I just say about pre-saves? Pre-saves basically don't exist. All pre-saves do is they give you a higher day one save rate. Spotify never knows that those pre-saves occurred before the song was out. All they see is day one saves. So they translate and they work, but I find it's like, don't run ads to get pre-saves unless you have so much money you don't care about it. It's better to have a day one ad spend than it is to try to spend all this money getting pre-saves. Like, pre-saves, they don't matter because they don't exist, but saves do matter. So that's my kind of whole spiel on that. And then I'll answer Dennis Fang's question. What's the highest save rate percentage you have seen in an artist or your song? I think 95% actually. I don't know. I don't remember if it was one of my songs or if it was someone I consulted or if someone who I did their ads for them. But I know I've seen songs with 95% save rates and like 4x listen rates. So yeah. Anyways, thanks very much for watching, everyone, and hanging out. This video is going to be live on the channel to rewatch. So if you watched it live, thanks for hanging out. And if you didn't, there'll be some end screens here where you can check out more of my videos. You know, gotta appeal to that YouTube algorithm and all that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video. Bye.